Sharat Padmopsavatram Vachascha Shravanamritam Hridayam Kshudharavam Strainam Koveda Chishtitam. Would anybody on Zoom like to chant first?
Sharat Padmotsavam Vaktra
Sharat Padmopsavam Vaktram
Vachascha Shravanamritam
Vachastram Saranapitam
Hridayam Shura Darabham
Hridayam Kshudharabham
Shrinam Goveda Cheshtitam
Sturam Koveda Chishtitam
Sarat Padmotsavat Vriksham
Sharat Padmopsavatram
Vachascha Shrananamritam
Vachascha Shravanamritam
Hridayam Kshudradarabham
Hridayam Kshudharabham
Strinam Kodveda Sistitam
Sturam Koveda Chishtitam. Sharat in the autumn. Padman, lotus flower. Utashvam, blossoming. Vaktram, face. Vachaha, words. Cha, and Shravanam, to the ear. Amritam, giving pleasure. Hridayam, heart. Kshurdhara, the blade of a razor. Abham, like. Strinam, of women. Kaha, who. Veda, knows. Cheshtitam, the dealings. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada Gita. Translation. A woman's face is as attractive and as beautiful. A woman's face is as attractive and beautiful as a blossoming lotus flower during autumn. Her words are very sweet and they give pleasure to the ear. But if we study a woman's heart, we can understand it to be extremely sharp, like the blade of a razor. In these circumstances, who could understand the dealings of a woman? Very true. Purport. Woman is now depicted very well from the materialistic point of view by Kashyapa Muni. Women are generally known as the fair sex, and especially in youth, at the age of 16 or 17. Women are very attractive to men. Therefore, a woman's face is compared to a blooming lotus flower in autumn. Just as a lotus is extremely beautiful in autumn, a woman at the threshold of youthful beauty is extremely attractive. In Sanskrit, a woman's voice is called Nari Sharma, Nari Svara, because women generally sing and their singing is very attractive. At the present moment, cinema artists, especially female singers, are especially welcome. Some of them earn fabulous amounts of money simply by the singing. Therefore, as taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a woman's singing is dangerous because it can make a sannyasi fall a victim to women. Sannyas means giving up the company of women. But if a sannyasi hears the voice of a woman and sees her beautiful face, he certainly becomes attracted and is sure to fall down. There have been many examples. Even the great sage Vishwamrita fell victim to Menaka. Therefore, a person desiring to advance in spiritual consciousness must be especially careful not to see a woman's face or hear a woman's voice. To see a woman's face and appreciate its beauty, or to hear a woman's voice and appreciate her singing, as very nice is a subtle fall down for a brahmachari or sannyas. Thus the description of a woman's features by Kashyapa Muni is very instructive. When a woman's bodily features are attractive, when her face is beautiful, and when her voice is sweet, she is naturally a trap for men. The Shastras advise that when such a woman comes to serve a man, she should be considered to be like a dark well covered by grass. In the fields there are many such wells, and men who does not know about them drops through the grass and falls down. Thus there are many such instructions. Since the attraction of the material world is based on attraction for women, Kashyapa Muni thought, under the circumstances, who can understand the heart of a woman? Shakya Pandit has also advised, Vishvaso Naiva Kartavya Strishu Raja Kulishu Cha. There are two persons one should not trust, a politician and a woman. These, of course, are authoritative Shastric injunctions. We should therefore be very careful in our dealings with women. Sometimes our Krishna conscious movement is criticized for mingling men and women, but Krishna consciousness is meant for anyone. Whether one is a man or woman does not matter. Lord Krishna personally says, Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Te Yanti Param Gatim. Whether one is a woman, Shudra or Vaishya, not to speak of being a Brahmana or Kshatriya, everyone is fit to return home back to Godhead, if he strictly follows the instructions of the spiritual master and Shastra. We therefore request all the members of the Krishna conscious movement, both men and women, not to be attracted by bodily features, but only be attracted by Krishna. Then everything will be all right. Otherwise, there will be danger. Om Jnanatimrandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadadmayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakappaturvyascha kripa sindhu bhiyedata patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. So this is a very nice verse and purport. And I was thinking when I was preparing the class, it's like, what can I speak about? There's so many nice points. And of course, this topic is one of my favorite topics to speak about, up there with death and chastity. So, yes, I thought to speak today about the difference, a little bit between the difference between materialistic people and devotees. So, in this translation, Kashyapa Muni is describing a woman. And in the purport, Prabhupada's also hinting at this woman category. And as we know, as devotees, we're not actually these bodies. We're actually different from the bodies. We're spirit souls. So we don't actually identify with these bodies, or that's the goal. And as we come into Krishna consciousness, we also see other people, or the ideal is to see other people as, yes, this person's not their body, they're a spirit soul. So this concept of these words about women is actually true. It's very true. I was laughing when I read this translation because I was like, wow, I used to be exactly like this. With they say women can be like two-faced. One is happy and the other is like evil or has this dark side. And so this is true for materialistic women, not for devotees, because devotees are not this body. Even devotees who have a female body, they're very different. It's almost a completely different species. But yes, this is accurate. A woman's face is attractive and beautiful, like a blossoming lotus flower during autumn. That's also true for devotees. Her words are very sweet and they give pleasure to the ears. But if we study a woman's heart, we can understand it to be extremely sharp, like the blade of a razor. In these circumstances, we should understand the dealings of a woman. Who could understand the dealings of a woman in these circumstances? So he's in this verse capturing sort of what's happened to him. Because his wife, as we know, we heard yesterday, and we've heard for previous days, we'll probably continue to hear, how she sort of cunningly tricked him. She wanted one thing, so she appeared in this very sweet and beautiful and attractive feature and served her husband so lovingly. But in her heart, she was holding on to this like sort of anger, this grudge. And then when she had the opportunity, she turned out and she released this desire that she'd been holding on to. Um, and the man was bewildered. What is this? I did not expect this. So this is this verse. She can be very sweet, but she can also cuss. Let me get my notes. So yes, for material women. And this is also true for material men, because nowadays it's so mixed. Um, that men are also just as cunning as women are. My spiritual master describes the material relationships are like a business deal. For the woman, she's craving emotional reciprocation. And for the men, he's of course looking for some physicality. So they kind of make an exchange. The man puts on a show, gives her some emotional reciprocation. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, like this. Oh, like this. I'll take care of you. I'll buy you nice things. So the woman feels secure, which is what she's looking for, and that's what she's attracted to most of the time. And the man, in exchange, the woman opens up herself for the man. So in this way, they go on for some time with this material motive, with this gross relationship that's just an exchange of um, different things, like a business deal. There's no actual depth to it. And in the course of these exchanges, usually then it's my spiritual master often says, uh, the slogan is like, I'm with you for as long as there's petrol in the car, or I'm with you for as long as there's gas in the car. Like, as soon as the gas runs out, I'm gone. Or this weekend relationship, I'm here and I'm here and I'm here. So as a result of this, the heart actually becomes very hard for people who are functioning in this material world. On the off chance you'll meet people who have some spiritual inclination, or they're from a spiritually based culture, um, like people who are from Bharat. Often this is not the case because they come from an actual cultural background, but um, in the West, it's very, very different. Another class, my spiritual master was saying, one devotee was asking a question. He was from an Indian background, um, and he was asking he was explaining how tricky it is. You have to take care of so many family members, and there's this sort of feeling of like duty that like I have to take care of my aunt, I have to take care of my grandma, I have to do this. It's such a burden. And he was saying like it doesn't seem like the Westerners have this. They can just so easily detach from their family. And it's one Swami was saying, he was like, um, he was like, he was like pausing. He was like, there's a special kind of degradation that comes with the Western background. He was like, you can't understand what's happening. If you knew the whole understanding of what like the background and the culture of the Westerners, he's like, you would be shaking in your boots. It's so like degraded, it's not even possible to describe it. So this is what we are this is what we are dealing with basically. So this hard-heartedness is very prevalent today in society. And yeah, this verse is very accurate to describe people or women and those who have that trait. They become hard-hearted, and then very easily you can appreciate someone or you can just slice them in a second. Yeah. Even this is you can see examples of this like very commonly in like in films or movies based in like high school, like classic high school films. Um, and so you have like, yeah, girls who are just like this, and same men who are just like very motivated in two ways. Can easily be very loving, and then the next moment just like eviscerate somebody. So the point of all of this is that we can see the clear distinction between um, devotees or people who are trying to be devotees, because actually being a devotee is a very high platform, and people who are in a material consciousness. So that's the reason I'm highlighting these, the contrast of the goals and the motives of someone who's in a material body, how they can be this, sorry, not in a material body, who's in a material consciousness, how they can have this sort of two-faced nature that's being alluded here in this verse, and someone um, who's in a more conscious sort of mindset. So without Krishna in our lives, we're actually compared to like dead bodies. Because Krishna is our consciousness, it's the life giving force. Without the life giving force, we're actually dead. But for those who do not recognize Krishna as the supreme, we're not trying to actively um, involve, actually see Krishna in their lives, then they're actually compared to like dead bodies. And I was in many years ago when I was in India, and I was in a Bhagavatam class, and one devotee, he was giving this really nice example, and he was talking, I think it was on the pastime of Lord Shiva gets bewildered by Mohini Murti, and then he's chasing like all around the universe, and it's a very juicy pastime, as those know. And so he was speaking on this topic that we're speaking on now, and he was saying how he was doing a kirtan, he was leading one of the 24-hour kirtans in Vrindavan, and it was, there was lots of people there and they were dancing, and you have the men on one side and the women on the other side. And he was noticing how as he was chanting, and of course you've got like Krishna Balaram, Radharani Sundar like right in front of you. That the people in the audience, they weren't looking at the deities, they were looking at the other side. So the men were like looking at the ladies as they were dancing, and the ladies were looking at the men as they were dancing. And he was saying, this is vulture consciousness. Because what are the vultures doing? They're just flying in the sky and they're looking down, looking for all of the dead bodies so they can eat. So he was saying this in the same way that when we're actively um, looking at the attraction of another person, thinking it for our own sense gratification, and we're even if we're right in front of Krishna or right in front of the deities, then this is like the consciousness of vultures. We're actually just looking for the material so that we can enjoy. So this is not the proper way that we should associate or see devotees, not seeing them on the material platform as like their body looks like this, or they come from this background, or they're in this way, but actually seeing this person, they're trying to practice Krishna consciousness, and in this way they're actually very exalted. And this vision, if we change a vision in this way, then like people that maybe we wouldn't usually have such connections with. Like I remember being in the ashram in New Zealand, and you're in this, and I'm sure anyone who's lived in an ashram knows, because also you live in many ashrams, that you're with a lot of people that normally you wouldn't like hang out with. They're not really like people that would be in your crew in the sort of material sense, but you're put into a situation together, and you're all trying to like do book distribution or just like function in like a preaching center or an ashram or training. And you're like, well, I wouldn't usually hang out with you. You're not like usually the kind of person I'd kick it with, but because we're both doing devotional service, and you're both serving Krishna, then naturally we actually start to get along. Um, sorry, I'm deviating. So, so yeah, this is this is highlighting on the importance of how it's really nice to try consciously, of course, that's what we're doing, always try and understand that we're not this body. This body is always changing. Um, and we're the spirit soul, we're on the inside. The spirit soul stays the same. Um, the body's always changing. We see the same, just like that picture in Bhagavad Gita. And as one really great book distributor, Mangalarti, who most of you know, she was recently on book distribution, and Dina Palaka got this really nice snippet of her, and she was saying this point to these people about how um, if you've ever been like in a really big group of people and you feel very lonely, this is because we're actually not connected to the super soul. We're not connected to the self on the inside. So sometimes we can be like this. Like you can be in New York, you can be walking down this huge busy street, you can be um, in a huge city, and you just feel like completely alone. This is because we are lacking this connection. Whereas the same, you can be completely by yourself in a huge forest, like nobody around, and you feel very satisfied because you have some connection. You know that you're actually not alone. So yeah, this point was really amazing because I remember when I was first coming to the, the loft, the preaching center, I would tell the devotees like, no, 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 I'm alone. There's nobody here. I'm alone. There's no one who's got my back here. And they'd be like, no, you're never alone. And I'd be like, no, I am. Like, actually, I am alone. And they're like, no, 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 you're never alone. You always have Paramama. You always have the super soul in your heart. So no matter where you are in the world, no matter, um, you might be underneath the ocean diving and there's nothing around you and you're surrounded by blue water on all sides, but you know that there's a super soul in your heart, or you might be in outer space, whatever. But yeah, you're never actually alone. So Krishna is always there. So yeah, we have to know, as well as Devarmita Swami often says that we have to know what the goal is so that we can rise above the material world. So we have to know about the spiritual world so we can rise above the material world. So in the sense we have to know about Krishna so we can feel motivated to get out of the situation that we're currently in. Because if we don't have knowledge of what's happening, then we won't be able to actually like use our intelligence to see the situation we're in and we want to get out of it. Um, it's one thing to have it's one thing to even like to have knowledge, like, oh, I know this world's a place of suffering and yeah, I should get out of it, and their spiritual world, yeah, it sounds pretty nice and it'd be nice to like serve Krishna eternally. And then it's another thing to have like vigyan or realized knowledge where we know this place is not a place I want to be. I don't want to be here. I Unless I'm doing devotional service, my life has no reason, like it's pointless. Um, and these like realizations, they keep us, they like bring us enthusiasm so that we actually make further advancement in our devotional service. I'm just preaching to myself. So, so yeah, this knowledge, this reading of Srila Prabhupada's books, and then hearing it over and over again and performing devotional service. It gives us knowledge and or jnana, and it gives us vijnana, realized knowledge, so that we can actually make progress on the path of devotional service. And by doing this process, uh, even for a short amount of time, like we have these new devotees from the preaching centers in Florida, and they're so enthusiastic, and it's so nice, it's so refreshing, and that's why I think this one is where Devamita Swami often says you need to have the fresh enthusiasm of new devotees and the wisdom and guidance of senior devotees, and this is a perfect combination. And then of course you have everybody in between, because it's so enlivening and seeing how enthusiastic they are, how yeah they can see the difference in their life from maybe 2 years ago to where they are now. So it's so refreshing. It's like, wow, yeah. This process of Krishna consciousness, it really works. These devotees are so enthusiastic. Um, so let me see. Sorry, I'm going really off my notes. So yes, okay. So we have to learn how to control. So we come to the platform of Krishna consciousness. We're practicing devotees. We're noticing the difference between our sort of material self, our material activities, our material ways of doing things, and where we are now. Um, and then all these things start to come up in the heart because it's a cleansing process. Like you're in the shower and you're scraping off the dirt, and as you do it, you notice things become dirtier and dirtier because you're cleaning, or you're cleaning your room, and things get totally messy before they get clean. So, in the same way, we're cleaning ourselves and things come up in the heart. Um, and we have to learn how to control our mind so these things uh, they don't take advantage of our intelligence and we don't make the wrong decisions. And it's very hard to control the mind. Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita that to control the mind is harder than to control the wind. Already Krishna says, I can't remember, but it's a very difficult thing to do. Uh, and the wind can be very, very strong. So, let alone how strong the mind can be, it can be completely bewildering and cover someone completely. Um, so this is important, and especially in this section that we're reading now, when we're hearing about Srila Prabhupada's depicting in the purport how women can be very bewildering. They have a very bewildering potency. That they can bewilder a man who's even very fixed up in his service or seva. Um, so for let alone for materialists they have it's people who are not trying to actively control their senses. They basically it's like a losing game, when you see a materialistic man and materialistic woman. It's just you just know there's just going to be like chaos. But for devotees who are actually trying to control their senses, we at least have a chance. So for a man to control his senses um, when they see a beautiful woman, and for women also, she needs to control her senses because women they don't have the same attraction that men have. Men have a more physical attraction, whereas women have a more psychological attraction. So women also need to learn how to control their senses, and this is actually very important. Um, because we need to have women who are chaste and have a controlled sense, can control their own senses, are actually extremely powerful. Because they, as you hear in the first couple of verses of Bhagavad Gita, from degraded womanhood, actually all of society becomes degraded. But if you have women who are very powerful, then you can have a very powerful society. So their importance can be sometimes not so highlighted, but if you can read between the lines, then actually you can see that women are very powerful, especially in Vedic society. Um, I remember I always when I was first coming, I would get very offended by these points because I was raised as a basically like from tribal people. Women should be like Amazon women who are very strong and can like conquer the world. So this was like my upbringing. So yeah, these verses would always upset me. But then if you can understand it from a different point of view, you can actually see how that is um, showing how, yeah, women actually have this power that they can create a powerful society. Just like when Draupadi was born from the fire yagya, and from when she took her birth, the voice in the sky said, "This woman, she will destroy the entire Kshatriya race." So, how much power just this one woman has because of her beauty and her chastity that the whole crew race was completely annihilated just from her. Of course, there was things that happened, but all of it stemmed from Draupadi. So yes, women have this very, very high power. But we need to learn how to control our senses, not get bewildered so easily, which is very common. So it goes for both. This verse is hinting at women specifically, but for a woman who's reading it, you can replace it with men. You can replace the words with men and see that actually it's instructive for both genders. So yes, so we want Krishna. That's the highest goal, to want Krishna always. And we have these senses that we're trying to control. And it can seem very hard. Like, how do I control my senses? They're like wild horses, literally. They're running everywhere. Um, but the more we strengthen our intelligence, which is like the reins of the chariot, then the more we're able to control them. And then after some time, will they actually become very subdued. Um, of course, they can also become wild again if we don't have a strong hold on the reins. Um, and that creates havoc. So yeah, we want to always strengthen our intelligence. And how do we do that? We always hear that the best way to strengthen our intelligence is to read and to hear about Krishna and chant attentively. So um, so yeah, this is very important. And another point I wanted to share before I forget is this point about us not being our bodies. It's very true. And Hari Chakraprabhu was telling me this recently because I was for so many days, I was so tired. And every time I see him in the morning, he's so loving and he asks, how are you? And I say, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And then I started saying, oh, I'm quite tired, I'm quite tired. And then one day he asked me, and I was really tired. And I didn't say anything. I said, I'm tired, but I didn't say it loud enough he could hear me. And then so then he saw me later that day, and he said, I asked you how you were doing, and you didn't say anything. Why didn't you tell me how you were doing? And I said, oh, because I'm quite embarrassed. I'm so tired all the time. Um, and he said, why are you embarrassed for being tired? And I was like, I don't know, it's embarrassing. I can't get up on time. I can't go to sleep on time. I'm not taking care of my body properly, so I'm always tired. And he was saying this is very important. The material body, we need to take care of it because without the material body, how are we going to perform devotional service? He's saying it's true you're not your body, but this applies mostly when you're in the spiritual world, which is true, and here it's also true. But we need to take care of this body because without this body, how will we perform devotional service unless you want to be a ghost? But you can't really do much as in that body. So he's really hinting at this point that it's so important taking care of the body because the body is our vessel that we're able to be used as an instrument for Krishna. Um, Anyways, this point very struck me very like in my heart, like, oh yes, this is true. You can always hear, oh, you're not your body, Prabhu, so you can eat like whatever you want, no problem. But this body, if we get sick, and I have before, like, gotten quite sick, that you're not able to do service, or you hurt yourself, you slip and you fall, you hurt your ankle, and you're out. You can't do anything. You just do, some online seva. So this body, we need to take care of it so that we can serve Krishna. And we take care of the body, we take care of the mind, we take care of the intelligence, then we're set on success for our devotional service. We're healthy in the body so that we can perform our activities of devotional service. We keep our mind. It also helps with mental health as well for those who struggle in the department, which is pretty much everybody these days. And our intelligence fixed in Krishna, then we're able to be very useful instruments for Lord Chaitanya's mission. I remember one devotee saying he was giving a Bhagavatam class, and he was highlighting this point of exercising, how important it is to exercise. And he was saying for him, because he was cooking for our Krishna Third Cafe, and he would be lifting these huge bags of flour and work basically doing this whole day for for hours. And for years, he's been doing this service. And he was saying, I have to exercise because if not, then my body, every time I try and lift something, my body hurts, or I pull a big bag of flour and I like hurt my back. And then I can't do my service. And I have to do this service. Otherwise, it implicates so many people. So, yeah, he's just really hinting at these points. And also, I remember we had a darshan once with my spiritual master, and he was asking me about exercise. And at this point in time, we lived uh, in there's Wellington City, and then there's this hill, and it goes up to Brooklyn, which is like another suburb. And we lived on the top of Brooklyn Hill, so we had to walk this hill. It took like 15 minutes or something. So he was asking, he's like, "Do you exercise?" And I was like, "Oh, I walk up the Brooklyn Hill." And he was like, "You think that counts as exercise? How are you gonna keep your body fit for Krishna?" So he was also very like honing on this point. You have to exercise every day, at least do something. So yeah, it's very important to keep the body fit. I wanted to mention that so we don't, for myself at least, don't forget the point that, oh, just you're not the body, it's fine. Don't care about yourself. So I'll finish soon. I just wanted to share these last points. Um, um, Yeah, so this aspect of fixing the mind on Krishna, so it can seem like, okay, that's good. How do I do that? Okay, I read Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay, if I don't have time to read lots, then what do I do? Because it's very important. I've been noticing this recently that uh, the less you read, then the harder it is to chant your rounds, um, and then the the harder it is to chant your rounds, then the harder your day becomes. You start to lose time in the day and lose enthusiasm to do things that are related to Krishna. So yeah, it's very important that all of these little pots get watered so that we can actually grow properly. And something I've been doing recently that's been really helping is to try and keep the sound vibration going. So I find the days that I do this, it's the amount of time that I lose in the day by doing things that are not directly related to Krishna is reduced significantly. Um, so yeah, that's like listening to lectures, finding devotee or sannyasis or devotees that I don't often listen to, and playing their lectures and trying to expand the variety because there's so much we can listen to. So many different pastimes and stories, and so many different like classes, and so many different ways of people speaking. It's all about Krishna, but it's just different ways that they speak. So anyways, that's just something I've been doing that's been very helpful. Or if you're doing arti, instead of just like softly playing, Prabhupada in the background, kirtan, actually like sing to the deities as doing the arti, which helps engage the mind. Otherwise, it can be easy, even though you're on the altar and you're saying the mantras of all the deities and saying the item names and mentally counting and doing all these things. So still, your mind has like, I've got 3 seconds here, I can think about something else. So yeah, that's just what I've been doing. Um, a little embarrassing when someone walks in, but anyways, worth it. Okay, so I wanted to finish there. I was a little, I had so much I wanted to talk about, so I think I didn't really stay on my subject matter, but my aim was to talk about the difference between devotees and people who have a materialistic mindset, and then to hint at we are devotees. Okay, what is the goal of what we're doing, and what are some struggles that might come up in this activity of trying to practice Krishna consciousness. So in there we have about 10 minutes. Um, any comments? Oh, Nitai Chan Prabhu, very cool. Thanks, Raman. If you're not the body, then you can exercise it from Nitai Chan. Very true.
Feel like I'm in New Zealand. Feel like I'm in Malaysia. Bring back a lot of memory and speaking. Thank you. It's the first time I get a class. Class is very almost that's really question. I was listening to his self-care talks by Mahatma. He was saying, he was giving an example that if you're driving, I mean, just on the topic of like taking care of the body and the mind, if you're driving somewhere and you might think like, oh, I'm out of gas now, but we have no time to stop. You know, let's just go for like we don't have time to stop. Let's just keep going. But then what will happen is that you end up running out of gas, and it'll end up being less efficient. So you make the point that in our movement, like you know, a lot of these the zonal charters, a lot of those gurus who were like doing so much, they actually ended up burning themselves out, and then they're like literally they fell away and then their zones just suffer. He was saying if they would just pace themselves, taking care of themselves, then these zones would be like 10 times more productive than they are now. So I just thought that was good. Yeah, it's like serve. But you know, you have to stop and get gas also, or else it's just
Really,
not
right.
efficient.
It's very nice. I'll just repeat for the Zoom. Dusty Piper was saying how he's listening to these classes by Mahatma Das about self-care. And Mahatma Das Prabhu is giving the example of how if you're going on a road trip and you're running low on petrol, but you think, no, we won't stop because we have to get to our destination, then eventually your car runs out and you don't even get there. And then he was giving an example of how this is linked to um, like what's it? Zonal chariots, yes. How they had their zones that was taken care of, but because they were just doing like so much service, and they had burned themselves out that they most of the time they just fell away. And then their zones suffered so much. Whereas if they would have just like taken some time to actually do some self-care, then their zones would be so much like maybe thriving much more than they are now. And maybe so many more devotees would have got. So yes, this point is very important. Self-care could be a whole seminar on how to do it properly. There are actually very many seminars on self-care. So many. Um, any comments from our online audience?
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Prabhu.
Jai, thank you for such a wonderful class. I was just reflecting on, of course, some of the things you were saying in regards to exercising and being able to do service for Krishna. And my own personal experience is that you start feeling this a lot more as you get older. The body starts breaking down a lot more, and and then you begin to wonder, like, how am I going to walk? How am I going to walk up the steps to, or how am I going to go down the steps? And um, and that's when I began thinking about a lot of things, in terms of doing the yoga and the things that I've been working on myself personally, but really having that realization that, just being able to move and function in the body is just the basic kind of consideration just to be able to function in this world. So let alone be able to do service and all types of things, we have to take care of our body. Um, to be able to do service for the devotees, to be able to lift the speakers or whatever I have to do moving around, that, I'm going to have to do some kind of exercise. So it is so important, but it doesn't have to be the emphasis where we're doing this exercise and that becomes the emphasis of our practice, glorifying the body or something like that. But I think it has to be done with the proper mindset, of why you're kind of doing it so that you can serve more. So I don't know. I just wanted to comment on that. And thank you so much for the class. Haribo.
Shout out to Spruce Hill Yoga Center. Please attend his classes. Yes. No, very nice. I remember someone telling me or making the comment that once you get past like 50, you can go to bed and wake up with a sports level injury. So it's so important to like keep the body, the energy, and the life juices flowing. Because yeah, else are we gonna do our service? Happens to me often in the kitchen. I'm lifting these huge pots. Um, sometimes, not always. I lift these huge pots, and I'm like, wow, if I don't like know how to properly like squat or do something, I could really hurt my back, or I could hurt my arms or my wrists or something. So yeah, so important. We've got 2 minutes. Do we have any final comments? Alrighty. Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Brahmananda.
Puja.
Jaya Shri Krishna.
Verses of praise is the Bhagavatam Solution. Divine grace, we have to set up to Ikuti Vaishnava Ki, Protection Rasa Ki, Islam Foundation Prabhupada Ki. Praise to God, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kundri Govardhana Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Maya Boy Dham Ki. Ganges Maya Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki. Tulsi Deva Ki, Shri Shri Harinam Sankirtanya Ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Nitya Gaur Premanandi. Oh, glory to the devotees. Oh, glory to the devotees. Oh, glory to the devotees. Oh, glory to the Shri Guru Bhagavan. Oh, glory to Shri. Oh, the feet of our spiritual master, the only way God can attain purity. God is speaking for all our reverence. I think it's great. God, only the two suffer. Pain and birth is God. On the earth you have consciousness and what is meaning Lord of this. Attached to the Lord of seeking to perspective that fulfills all desire. He opened my heart, I filled with heart, none to knowledge. He is full. From him decided that I need to ignorance is destroyed. Today, singular terror. Our aspects of master's own, she mentioned. They made it all lower back. Oh my, please mercy to us, healing, charity, and the benefit all of the rules that they showed them the Wednesday. God.